the live stream show for women speakers. I'm very happy to have you here. This show is all about showcasing the amazing women speakers that we have in Australia so that you can get to see the huge amount of talent that's available, and so we can shift the stats from 30% women speakers to 50. Now, today, my guest is my great friend, Melinda Hird. I love Mel. We've known each other for ages. And Mel is slightly different because she is really, really well known in speaker circles for her Elite Speaker Days, for her sizzle reels. And we'll be talking about why you need a sizzle reel and what should be in it. And also, Mel has dipped her toe into speaking in the last year or so. So welcome, Mel. It's fantastic to have you here.
Hello, I'm putting my glasses on to see you.
I think that's a very good idea. I have to as well now. So what about we start off by, why don't you tell everybody what it is that you do, because it's quite a lot of different services, and why?
Oh, I always love this question because this is like what I always dive into with my clients. So yes, as you mentioned, I run Elite Speaker Showreel Day. I have pretty much evolved into really running these production days. I used to be a brand photographer. I still am, but my focus has really shifted down this lane to niche, to be working with speakers, and I can share exactly why. Basically, I've been, photographing events since I started the job. It started off in weddings and then it evolved into, my daughter went to kindergarten. I was like, that's it, I'm done, had to sort of like bow out. And then I was a jack of all trades. And then quite quickly I figured I wasn't good at certain things, but I was great with people and still great with events. And so I was really excited, because I felt like, oh my gosh, how good is this? I get to be paid for what I love doing, and I get to be exposed to all these different speakers.
Yeah, right.
And it was a privilege, because it just accelerated my knowledge and
you're so good at it. I mean, so you were doing a lot of headshots for people for their one sheets. You were working with lots of speakers and taking shots of them on stage, and then you had a bit of a light bulb moment, didn't you, a couple of years ago?
I did. Yeah, it was actually November 15, 2017.
That's Stop it. Oh my God, it's not that long ago. 5 years.
Well, this was when I had that shift. This is when I had that pivotal moment. And I just, in a nutshell, like I heard Jacinta McDonald speak on stage.
Yeah.
And so she was the co-founder of Anytime Fitness. And she took us through a story about, like how, when everyone told her, don't do it, it's an American product, you're going to fail. She bumped herself. And I was like, And then it was like, she said, like, she again, like took it to as far as she could. And then she also bowed out. So I'm making these little connections with her on stage. I'm thinking, I was the same with the weddings. I totally respect that. And so now here's this, inspiring and, independent woman, financially independent woman. And again, I'm like making these like more and more connections with her, and I'm being more captivated as she's telling this story, because it's like, well, I want to aspire to be a financially independent woman.
Yes.
And
don't we all?
Yeah, I know, that's it. And then she sort of like took us along, her keynote journey and how she was partnering up with the Hunger Project, and they went all around the world into remote places. And, instead of saying here's a bowl of food to eat, it's like, let's teach you how to live sustainably off your own land.
Yeah, love that.
And I was like, and I remember this stage, I'm like at the back of the room, and my cameras are just hanging by my side, and I'm just like, I'm looking around the room to see if anybody else is seeing what I'm seeing, is that this woman has found her higher purpose. So now I'm like buzzing with excitement. And it wasn't until she showed the video of what she was talking about, and that was it. I was gone. And I had such limiting beliefs around, doing video. I loved it, but I sucked at it. This is
really? I didn't realize that. So you were all up for the photography, but you didn't want to do the video in those days.
Wow. I wanted to, but I sucked.
Right.
And then I just, that was my limiting belief, I just thought, I can't do it, gave it up. And so I continued on with the photography, but this is when it all changed. And this is when I thought, oh my goodness.
I could do this.
Oh, yeah, I can do this. Can you still see me? Because
yes, no, you have, nothing's changed.
Oh, okay, good. It's just on my screen. There you are. So basically, she did 3 things to me in that moment. Like after I saw this video, it was like she gave me full body goosebumps. Jules is better than an orgasm, almost. Full body goosebumps. And then she shattered those limiting beliefs around, doing video.
Yeah.
Because all I wanted to do was travel around the world, document her, and sing her praises of all the good that she's doing. And then something just shifted inside me. It was like my eyes were open. I was so connected. I think I was connected to the fact that she found a higher purpose. And I thought, I've got to be doing more than this. I've got to stop playing small. And so that is the reason why I work with speakers today. So it's just been this continuous journey. In 2019, it was like I was, hearing, working with different speakers and hearing different needs. And it was like a lot of them were emerging speakers. And I'm like thinking, my gosh, we've got enough cowboys out there on stages. Like, I want to bring the good, and most of them are women. I want to bring these women. They're like, oh, but who'd want to hear from me?
Oh my God, I know. Don't even talk to me about it.
Well, this is what I want to, dive deeper into. And it was like, I don't know what to say. I don't have a story. And it's like, these are the common things that I find coming up. And I'm just like, and sometimes I tease them, Jules. I go, if they say particularly like, oh, who'd want to hear from me? It's not about me. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I agree with you half.
Yeah, who would?
And it's like, yeah, you're right. It isn't about you. And I said, but how selfish are you? And they go, what? Did you just say that? And I was like, yeah, no, you're selfish. And they're like, huh? And I said, yeah, give me a big cuddle. And I said, no, you are so right. You're coming from the right place. Like if you are audience focused, just focus on that. If you're a place of service, focus on that.
That's right.
But you have got so many stories. And if you are self-employed, for example, you're completely fucking unemployable anyway. So you have had the bravest of all bravest courage to step out and do something that most people can't.
Yeah.
Stories in everything. And often I get people to look back on their timeline. It's the most simplest thing to do. It's like, look at all those little stories. We all have one. And it's like, what is the lessons, the wisdoms that you can teach others? And I love that saying. It's like, you don't keep a gift to yourself. It's silly.
No, that's right. And I mean, I say that a lot with women as well. I'm like, get out of your own way, because it's actually not about you, even though it feels like it's all about you. It's about all the people you're helping and all the people that were watching, and the Melinda Hirds at the back of the room that are going, oh my God, this has blown my mind. I'm now going to change my whole life. And that's what you can do for people if you're up there.
This is exactly right. And it's a different mindset now, isn't it? Because it's sort of like you can see the light bulbs going off in their eyes, like, yeah, and it's like, and it's just a matter of, it is really about mindset, so it's like, if you really do struggle with that, get a mindset coach, much like speakers get a
exactly
speaker coach, you know what I mean? So it's like, once you got that, the next thing is about structure. You just need to know the structure. Quite often we just, don't know, and people think,
and there's loads of people out there like Monica Rosenfeld, and that's just the first one that came to mind, who can help you pull your story out,
absolutely,
so that you can do it. But talk to me a little bit more about the Elite Speaker Showreel Days, because I think that there's something quite different, and I love it. I loved how you initially set it up, and then I loved it that you've invited audiences in. So just explain to people how they work.
So I mean, just sort of like, coming back to that need, like there was emerging speakers that didn't have the assets. And then,
and what assets are they? Well, let's talk about, what do you think speakers need?
Yeah, well, speakers, like they need pretty much everything. And the biggest selling point is a show reel. Now, I know a lot of speakers who like get so excited, they go on like, some bureaus and things like that, but then after a year, they're like, I'm not getting any bookings. And part of the reason is they're not got the assets there. And I work with, a couple of bureaus, and they all say to me, Mel, I can't put a speaker forward if they can't demonstrate what it is that they do. If I can't hear the way they sound, feel their energy, or know more about their topic, it's a risk, because it's like, if they're putting it towards a client, and then if the speaker goes, yeah, I can do it, and they bomb, that's
my God, I know.
And that's everyone's fear. And again, this is like, we've got more education around, do the work, get the coaches, like invest in yourself and invest in your time. And so my husband Matt, he has a branding agency. So it's the complete, like, from the graphic design to the website design, and also just having the photos, the videos, the speaker show reel. And so this was a sort of need. And then once we sort of hit into COVID, I had to shift. So then I went to do virtual, and pretty much from there, I just thought, there's this gap. I got to fill this gap. You know, I love all these people that I'm talking to.
Yeah, and I think a big issue for a lot of people is, and I've done this because I have, as you know, and I know you're appalled by it, I don't have any video content of me speaking, and yet I probably speak 50 times a year.
That's pretty
So,
good. Hey,
you know,
like,
at my own events as well as other people's. But
yeah,
it's absolutely true that a lot of people, and then you don't know where to start. You're like, what event do I do it? So the fact that you create the event, I
yeah,
think, is
yeah.
what
So
makes it really outstanding.
oh, it is. It's a remarkable day. You know, and so this is purely designed. We have like 6 speakers come on board and we split the day in 2. So
Yeah.
the first half is all around that production side of things. So what we're doing is we have different little stations. The main stage is where we do a whole bunch of key phrases. They have different outfits. We do a whole bunch of B-roll, you know, getting mic'd up and all that
And
sort of stuff.
I think just to explain to lay people, because you explained it so well to me once, and you said, if I go to someone else's event, I can't have cameras all around the stage taking them from different angles.
Yeah.
If I create my own event, then I can make sure that the stage has got all the cameras around it at different places so that I can
Yeah.
get really good footage, which I just think is super clever.
Yeah, and it makes it interesting. And I think from having
Sorry, I interrupted you. They talk about the stations as well.
yeah,
So what were
no,
they?
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, so yeah. Well, that's a good thing to raise because that's exactly what we do. So we've got multiple cameras. You know, we got the wide, the close up, the B-roll, the
Yeah,
photography.
fantastic.
You know, and then we just want to get those interesting shots. You know, because again, this whole day is built around the purpose of the end in mind, which is the show reel. So how can we make it interesting? How can we make it more engaging? Because we've got to stand out. And so, yeah, and once they've sort of done that, then they jump off and they do another station where it's like face to camera pieces. We do the keynote overview. And then there's another station where there's a photographer, so a little pack of headshots and all of that. And so they get all of this. So
a whole package out of one day. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we break for lunch, and lunch is on me. So you do get a free lunch. And, then that's where we invite the audience, and we actually like it's quite good. And I think because like there is that need, you know, like to be seen, to be shown in front of an audience. And then I have heard some of the industry people go, you know, it's not a real audience, and I go, whatever. I like it's just I'm sorry, they're real people and they're sitting down and they're there. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not selling tickets, but
also the speakers are showing their skills on the stage anyway.
Yeah.
It's just to have those shots where there are people, and nice for the speakers because they can invite family and friends and people that they're going to feel comfortable
That's exactly right.
in front of.
And a lot of this is testing ground, you know. So a lot of speakers, even the established speakers, we've had people like Adam Spencer like come in. Now, he's established. He also doesn't really need, like, he's got profile, right?
Yeah.
But he still needs a show reel.
Yeah.
So this is the whole thing. There is that need because again, it's just certainty, and you know, and he can go now global. So if he's not known global, this is the chance for him to prove himself. So we've always got to think bigger, bigger, bigger.
Yeah.
And so we run it like, you know, as if it is like a proper event. So once everyone's in the auditorium, we've got an MC that comes out and does like an intro. We want funny intros, not boring bios, you know. Yeah. And then 15 minutes it's like a simplified sort of like TEDx talk style. Yeah. And this is the other thing too. What I found also, like bringing that live audience in, was because there's a lot of trainers and facilitators that are stepping into doing keynotes. Yeah. And so they struggled. Like they can easily do a room full of people, but they do kind of need that energy to bounce off. Yeah. Whereas, which is really interesting because I've dealt a lot with keynote speakers, and the best of the best, and this is the whole thing, they practice.
Yes, that's
the best of the best do that. So, and I think this is again like a different mindset, because it's like it's no different if there's a room full of people or not. You know what I mean? Because it's like a theater. You rehearse for the role. Yeah, exactly. On the night the audience comes. But this is all the prep work. There's a lot of prep work, and part of the days is that you do have access to speaker coaches. You do have access to structure.
Oh, right. Wow.
I want you to be stage ready. And in the earlier days, people would say, yep, I've got it. And then they didn't. And it was, I was mortified because I'm like, this is an investment. And I believe that you were ready and you're not. And, you know, like even sometimes, you know, to this day, I'm waiting. Like I get kind of a bit nervous when people aren't giving me all the things that I need, you know, for the production day, because I'm like, oh my gosh, how ready are you? Because technically you should be like 1 to 2 weeks out, sitting back, Copacabana,
And
drinking.
practicing your talk.
Yeah, practicing and practicing on the delivery.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing too. It's like, really identifying, that this is a keynote. This is all about storytelling. Do you know what I mean? So it's not teaching from the stage as such. There is areas for subject matter experts.
Of course there are.
Absolutely. But at the same time, you need to know how to tell your story. And this is coming back to what we were saying before. Like, what's your story and what's the wisdom, what's the lessons that you can thread into what you want to be talking about or kind of teaching, you know what I mean? But it's not all teaching from the stage.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, it's super exciting. And then, of course, once everything's done, we're busily away and we get all the assets created and we,
But sorry, can I just interrupt you to go? I'm just interested for anyone that's watching to say, what are the assets? So you do need a sizzle reel, which is this video that it shows you speaking and maybe people speaking about you and things like that. Then you need a one sheet, which is the photography. It's the topics that you cover off, maybe a short bio and maybe a couple of testimonials. What else do speakers need, or are they the main two things?
I think they're kind of the main two things. So, and this is what, this day is designed to do, is to give you those photos, to give you those videos, to give you, the keynote. Because often bureaus, like, and you got to think of that customer journey. It's like, if you're not known and then they happen to come across your speaker reel because you're smart and you've got one, then they'll start looking. It's like, cool. And that's when they go, hey, I've seen your speaker reel. Can you maybe just send me maybe 5 minutes of you just talking consistently? This is mostly what, bureaus would ask for. And then you're like, yep, no worries. Out of the pocket. There you go. And then just sort of like watching. And then these key phrases that we specifically do on the day, it's like little short bite sizes. So we give about 10. That's 10 weeks worth of content if you're cleverly, like.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And then, so because they're going to go to your LinkedIn or they're going to go to your Facebook or Instagram, they're going to start sort of like sussing you out a little bit more. And then it's like, and that's why like having this keynote overview, this face to camera piece is super sharp, short and succinct. And it's to say, like, this is who I am. This is the problem I see as the expert. And in this keynote, I talk about this so that your audiences can walk away thinking, feeling, knowing, doing something. And that's the key. What's in it for the audience? That's what's going to get you booked, If you can make all this so simple, it's like much the same with, your one sheet, but I'm talking more the visual assets. That's our service.
No, I absolutely agree. And, we've just started an Australian women speakers YouTube channel that this goes into, but I'm taking all the women who are on the directory and going to put their sizzle reels up there. So people can come and like see all the different women's opportunity, all the different women's talks and what they're like. So I think that's super important. So tell me a little bit more about you stepping into speaking, because I absolutely love it that you've been inspired to do that. What do you talk about and what kind of audiences are you looking for?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I think just seeing so many speakers, it was a bit of both thing. Again, like I'm constantly evolving. I'm constantly pushing myself, and I think that was that exciting thing. So it's a bit that I felt like I kind of, I felt like I had to walk the talk a little bit. I don't know that, but it's also, that was the challenging side. And then it was like, I had to challenge myself because it was like, well, what am I going to talk about? And so many people go, oh, Mel, you can do camera confidence. That's not me. That didn't light me up, and I was getting.
And that was probably why you were stuck for a while thinking, I'll just take photos of people and I'll do the videos and I don't need to speak. But where have you landed? What do you like to talk about now?
So I've crafted a keynote all around vision, voice, vitality, right?
I love it.
So it's really about, why that is important, and vision is not just the visual stuff, from my creative perspective.
It's about what is your vision.
What is your vision? What can you see, like projecting? I'm very much a sort of like futurist style of thinking, and then voice, like, our voice is so important. Like we all have a message that we can share. And just like Jacinta made me feel, what I found was incredible, because we actually worked together last year. We did photos, a showreel, and, and all that sort of stuff. On the day, I found out that the way she made me feel, Muhammad Yunus, who was all about doing, micro businesses in Africa, like $250 could set an African woman up beautifully, So when she heard his story, she got the same ripple effects and goosebumps and shifts and all that sort of stuff. So it's so important, because it's like, we don't use our voice. What is our purpose sometimes? Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like, there's more to life than just living day to day. And advocacy, like having a voice, to speaking up for what's important, speaking up for people who don't have a voice or can't use it. So there's all of that to talk about. And then the vitality, like the energy, this is the other thing too, because when you do step into your purpose, and this is the thing, doesn't have to be for the whole world, like Jacinta.
No.
It can just be community, or it can even just be family.
Exactly.
But when you are stepping into your higher purpose, and you're doing, push yourself through that comfort zone, you're making these breakthroughs, that's when you get this joy, and this is when you get that vitality, and that's when that's it, that infectiousness that sort of like spreads out. So there's a lot of darkness in the world, but this is where you got the opportunity to spread your light, so that's part of it too. And then I also do take people down, like, because you mentioned before, like what other assets are there. There's also 3 key videos that I think is super important for speakers to do to stand out, because again, it's very noisy,
Yeah, it is.
And that is like, character videos. So it's oh gosh, I wish I had time. I wanted to share one with you. Do we share on this?
No, we can't easily. Just describe
That's
it.
okay. That's okay.
What's a character video?
Like, a character video is kind of like a personal video. So this is telling your personal story. And like, this is the whole thing. Like, when it comes to video is incredible, because it taps into visual, auditory, and kinetic. It's the only one, like, reading a book, it's more visual. Podcast, auditory, but this spins all 3 beautifully together. And so that's the power of video. But when you bring in storytelling is all about captivating, inspiring, driving people to action. And when you bring these 2 together, that's at the intersection, you got this powerful tool at your hands, this powerful medium at your hands. So it's really like teaching people to be telling that. And again, it's like, what is your personal story? And somebody that does this beautifully, Peter Merritt. So he's our Australian man. He's also known as Mr. Wonderful. He's got this beautiful video, and he talks about, like what lights him up. It's all about the wonder. And he's kind of like this beautiful man that's sort of like a bit of a Peter Pan as well.
Right.
And there's another guy, he's an American guy, Clint Pulver. Oh, when I saw his, I just fell in love with him, because he talks about his story about how, he was 10 years old at school, and he was like always, getting in trouble for being disruptive, and just tapping.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. And then he had one person in his life that changed him, his teacher. And his teacher said, Clint, stay after class. And he went to class thinking, oh, this is it, I'm in so much trouble. And the teacher says, I don't think you're naughty, I think you're a drummer. And then he hands me his drumsticks, and it was just, and honestly, it just grabs you,
Yeah.
And then it's that why. And I think once people understand your story of why, and then like now he goes around the world, and he's like, he's drumming, and he brings drumming into his speaking. So,
Beautiful.
But if I would have just told you that he was a speaker and he did drums, it'd be like, oh yeah, that's nice. But when you see the story about the why, like what got him there, that's when you have this connection. And often it's very emotive. So I really encourage speakers to really dig deep and to find their why, like, to find their stories and relate it to their topic.
I think that's, very incredible stuff. And the other thing is, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about, we've got a woman in Women Speakers that is an artist and does art on the stage, creates a piece while she's doing her keynote.
Who's that?
I wish I could think of her now. I feel awful now, because hopefully
Sarah
someone watching will do it. I can't. What do you think her name might be?
Sarah Rowan?
Might be. It might well be.
Got shaved.
So she does that, and then Rachel Peach, who we know is a vocal coach, and Julia Hume have joined together, and they're going to do a keynote where they sing songs and they talk. So they're going to entertain in that way. So I guess from that, I just wanted to say that if there's anyone watching who's good at something else and isn't sure about speaking, you can bring it all together and create something really unique that other people aren't doing.
And please do it. Please do it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking.
I've had like other people who are singers, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not going to sing," and I'm like, "But you've got a gift and you can play guitar. You like."
Yeah.
You've got to bring it. They're like, no, no, no. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
And this is the
Wendy
other
Lloyd Curley.
when I don't know.
No,
Maybe
I
someone
just
like
mean
it.
that she's
Yeah.
playing in a band and has been for years
Hi,
and
Wendy.
does public speaking. It'd be great for her to sing at her events as well.
Yeah, yeah. Not Wendy, but yeah, someone like Wendy. But yeah, but this is the other thing too. It's like bring that because again, like what do we love? You know, like we
Yeah,
love
that's right. Bring
entertainment.
your passion into it.
Bring your passion, like entertainment, humor. You know, like if you like funny, and I know Monica, she also, yeah, she studied like comedy and stuff like that. So again, find a humor coach like who specializes in
Yes. Well, I often talk about Lucy Bloom. I interviewed
oh,
her,
best,
and she said that she
best.
pays a comedian. So when she's finished a
Mm,
keynote, she presents it in front of a
yeah,
comedian, pays him by the hour, and he goes, "Oh, stop there. You could create a little joke by doing it this way." I
yeah.
just think that's
It
genius.
is genius because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, like they know they've got what they got, but it's like, but why not take it up the next level? And
Yeah,
sometimes you need that other person to come in and see it from a different perspective because sometimes you're so in it.
absolutely.
You need to have a top level view, you know, helping you. There's nothing wrong with that. This is all about excellence, you
Yeah.
know, and constantly pushing the boundaries and pushing through the comfort zone. So yeah, it's very
It's
exciting,
amazing.
isn't it?
Okay, so I've got about 2 or 3 minutes for you to just quickly
Time
talk to me.
flies.
I'm really going to throw this one, so you're going to love it. Um, can you talk about a memorable speaking experience either you've had or, and I know you've dealt with a million, and you don't have to name names, but can you tell us about a memorable speaking experience just before we go? Before we go?
Yeah, well, definitely Jacinta, and
Yeah.
then yeah, Lucy cracks me up. Like I love her the way she's just so candid and you know is funny. And oh yeah, look, there is a lot. And
What about one you've had? Have you done much speaking yet?
yeah, I've done a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah. Oh
great. Well,
yeah,
can you
I
tell
was
me
just
one of yours, just very quickly?
yeah. So yeah, Kate Toon. She had a six-figure sleepover just last weekend actually.
Yes.
So that was so much fun because she's built it around sort of like a retreat. So you get there the night before, then you
Oh,
do
I
a
know it's all
presentation.
PJs and luxury,
It
and
was
I love
so
it.
much fun. But I tell you something was interesting that I noticed. It was like because you went from speaking, and I was like, you know, the last speaker sort of thing, and then we went straight into doing sort of more like round tables. My gosh, I have never felt like so brain fried, and
Oh,
I was like,
really?
yeah, it was really interesting. It was just so much going like chomp chomp chomp, you know, like going on, and then you know, like trying to yeah,
And
just
then
it was
calm
a
down and sit at a table and just talk with people.
it was full on.
Yeah,
Like I was
yeah.
not expecting that because I can do both normally, but together back to back. And I said to Kate, I said, "Is this normal?" Because I feel so, you know, like whoa, you know. And she's like,
That's really
"Oh,
interesting because I
it
normally come
is."
off the stage feeling really the adrenaline is buzzing and I'm totally up for, some conversations around whatever it is I've talked about.
Maybe because you're probably done. It's longer. I don't know.
But
Yeah,
anyway, well,
yeah,
that's good for people to know. Now, you are amazing. If
you are.
people wanted to book you either as a speaker or for your Elite Speaker Reel Days
Yeah,
or for photography, or they just love the look of you because you're great
yes,
and would like to be in contact, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you? Have you got a
yeah.
website?
I do. I've actually got two. So there's my personal one, melindahird.com.
Yeah,
And then there's
right.
elitespeakerhub.com.au. Yes.
And sorry, we should just quickly before you go
Yeah.
say that you've now partnered with your husband Matt, who
Mm.
has graphic design and branding agency, doesn't he? So you actually can do the whole lot and help people really do their marketing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's the full
amazing,
service, you
amazing.
know. So all
And
you need to worry about is speaking.
is that the elite? Sorry, what was that
Like,
website
yeah,
again?
Elite Speaker Hub, all
.com
in one
or
hub.
.com.au?
.com.au. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Jules.
Oh my God, no, thank you. And
Going.
also, you are in the Facebook and the LinkedIn group, and you promised me
Yeah.
you're going to get yourself into the directory,
Yes,
so
I
people
know.
will be able to find you there.
Yeah.
So, thank you so, so much.
Thank
I
you.
just want to say to everyone that I hope you enjoyed this interview. The show goes live every Thursday at 10 a.m., and I have
Yeah.
some amazing speakers lined up right the way through to Christmas now. So, please tune
Amazing.
in, and you'll be able to see it through LinkedIn and Facebook. If you need a speaker, please go to womenspeakers.com.au and you don't have to pay a commission. you can just contact your preferred speaker directly and liaise with them and negotiate with them. Also, you're welcome to post a request if you're looking for a speaker into either the Facebook Australian Women Speakers group or the LinkedIn group. There's over 1,000 women in both, all looking for opportunities to speak. So absolutely no excuses for I couldn't find a woman speaker. And if you are a speaker, please go and join one of those groups, and ideally sign up for the directory as well, because we're going to be doing a lot of exciting things with the directory to make people aware of the fact that they can go and choose any speaker that they want, deal with them directly, and negotiate directly, so that, you know, no commissions, no third party. You can just contact them directly.
Amazing.
Mel, thank you so much. I
You.
really appreciate it, and I've loved our chat.
Same. And thank you for everything that you're doing. It's incredible.